I just want to open things up with my thoughts and prayers for a couple people here that are going to have a fight for their life here. First, we'll start with, might grab my notes here and talk about a couple people that we need to, as part of the hockey world, to have our thoughts and prayers for, as a couple people have been diagnosed recently with a medical condition that is very scary. We fight for Oskar Lindblom, who is a left winger for the Philadelphia Flyers and assistant general manager of the Calgary Flames, Chris Snow here. As you may know, Oskar Lindblom has been diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, which is a very rare form of cancer, as I know, that affects the bones here. And Chris Snow, the assistant general manager of the Calgary Flames, has been diagnosed with Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis, or also known as ALS, which affects your nervous system. And a couple of years ago, actually 5 years ago, that Ice Bucket Challenge meme that took off was raising funds awareness on that disease here. So as a hockey fan, my thoughts and prayers to both Oskar Lindblom and Chris Snow, and hopefully it can beat this disease and ailment and get back to contributing at the National Hockey League level. So anyway, with that out of the way, it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another episode of my Calgary Flames in 6 here. Here we are up to Season 2, episode number 7 here, as we'll be looking back on games 31 to 36 here in the 2019-20 NHL regular season here. And as I said, I had to give my thoughts and prayers to Oskar Lindblom and Chris Snow, who both have been recently diagnosed with some scary stuff in the medical world here, and hopefully they can recover and get back at it and contribute to the National Hockey League. So I needed to do that, and my small part in the hockey world, we're fighting all together here. However, on the ice, when it comes to the Calgary Flames here, wow, what a difference a month made here. I mean, 2 episodes ago there, when I was asking, is it time to press the panic button, and are we going to make the playoffs? And then last episode, we were on the heels of the whole Bill Peters situation, and the Geoff Ward era begins. And for the most part, the Geoff Ward era has started off very well for the Calgary Flames here. And we'll see. Are we back? That's the question I should ask. Are we back? As in, are we getting back to where this team expected to be at the start of the season, building off last year, having I still want to call it the best regular season in a generation here. So I'll bring my notes here, and let's recap the last 6 games for the Calgary Flames here, and games 31 to 36 here. And the Geoff Ward era we're well into that era now, and let's just say he's not afraid to pull up the blender and mix up the lines here. And I'm going to say, for the most part, that seems to have worked in the short term here. Time will tell to see if this will continue to work in the long term here. So, if you go back to game 31, this happened on Saturday, December the 7th here, as the Calgary Flames were finishing up a quick homestand here, as they were taking on the Los Angeles Kings. I was at the Scotiabank Saddledome, 8 p.m. puck drop on Hockey Night Canada here, and coming in here was we were looking for a 4th straight win here, as actually the Calgary Flames are coming in on a 3-game winning streak, and the Geoff Ward era so far started off undefeated here. And this game going to feature a marquee matchup between Drew Doughty and Matthew Tkachuk here. However, things did not start off well for the Calgary Flames, as they got into some penalty trouble early, and the Los Angeles Kings took advantage of it early here. The first goal happened past the 11-minute mark when Anze Kopitar for the Los Angeles Kings, opens up the scoring on the power play. And then Drew Doughty. We all love Drew Doughty, right? He scored another power play goal 3 minutes later. So it was 2-0 for the Los Angeles Kings there. However, in the final 2 minutes of the first period, Milan Lucic, these guys starting to pick it up on the offensive side, and as I say, contract aside, he's come here and provided exactly what we needed, but it was finally time he got rewarded for his hard work here. Well, he scores late in the power play as well, so Calgary was down 2-1 after the first period there. So the second period, the Calgary Flames actually were able to tie things up early as Zach Rinaldo scored his first, one of the free agents that we signed on a tryout at training camp. Provides energy here. He actually tied the game up early in the first period, so just like that, it was 2-2 here. Then, Johnny Gaudreau, he finds Sean Monahan. This is past the 11.5 minute mark of the second period here. So now, suddenly, Calgary has a 3-2 lead here. And that's how things looked after the second period here. Los Angeles scored the first 2 goals, but the Calgary Flames came back and scored the next 3 goals here. In the final 3 minutes of the second period here, it wasn't Drew Doughty and Matthew Tkachuk that decided to have a little dance here. It was actually Zach Rinaldo trying for his Gordie Howe hat trick, and Kyle Clifford of the Los Angeles Kings had a fight there. So that was the other thing to highlight in the second period here. Third period, it was Dylan Dubé, who recently got called up from Stockton here and has been contributing here, who scored a minute and a half into the third period. So the Calgary Flames took a 4-2 lead here. However, Los Angeles was able to get within 1 as Matt Roy scores just before the 5.5 minute mark. So it was 4-3 Calgary, still fairly early in the third period here. Los Angeles actually kept pressing hard to get the equalizer. However, it was Cam Talbot who started this game, and it was his first appearance in Calgary net in a month here. Stayed strong, and the Calgary Flames eventually held on and took this game with a 4-3 win. So led the way for the Calgary Flames, while Milan Lucic and Dylan Dubé led for Calgary with a goal and assist each. And Derek Ryan chipped in with 2 assists here, and sometimes they've all 3 played together on the same line here, and it's definitely worked here. Los Angeles, well, they were led by their key players, Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar, with a goal and assist each. Los Angeles did outshoot the Calgary Flames 33-30 this game, and it was Cam Talbot that made 30 saves for the Flames. Well, it was Jack Campbell for Los Angeles who made 26 saves there. So I think this segment is starting off good here as we finally beat the Los Angeles Kings here. However, these are the Los Angeles Kings in the bottom of the Pacific Division here. The next couple games are going to be a bigger test for the Calgary Flames as they go on a quick road trip here. Game 32, this happened on Monday, December the 9th here. The Calgary Flames were taking on the Colorado Avalanche at the Pepsi Center, or 7 p.m. puck drop here. Colorado Avalanche, ever since that playoff series, has been a thorn in the side for the Calgary Flames here. And it was a quick but tough road trip here. 2 games, 2 nights here. So the first game was the Colorado Avalanche. And this actually was a very entertaining game overall here. However, it did start off with Colorado opening up the scoring 4.5 minutes in, so got some familiar feelings from last spring as Ryan Gray scores, and we have that was the only goal in the first period here, so it was 1-0 Colorado after 1 here. Second period, it wasn't until 9.5 minute mark of the second period where Derek Ryan, who ties it up, but it was 31 seconds later. Valeri Nichushkin, who's been a nice pickup for the Colorado Avalanche after he started his career with the Dallas Stars, and then when he was drafted in 2013, and then went to Europe and went back to Dallas last season. Made it 2-1 for Colorado, so that's Valeri Nichushkin there. However, Calgary was able to tie it up past the 16-minute mark. Mr. Clutch, Matthew Tkachuk, scored his 12th of the season. And we had a 2-2 game after 2 periods here, so the Calgary Flames were able to bounce back, being behind a goal here against Colorado Avalanche. Third period, actually, the Calgary Flames started off with 2 quick goals here. First, it was Andrew Mangiapane, literally 12 seconds in, like right after the opening face-off. He scores, so Calgary was up 3-2 here. And then Michael Frolik, who actually has found a new role in the fourth line here, scored past the first minute and a half, so it's 4-2 Calgary. So Calgary took a quick 2-goal lead and a minute and a half into the third period. However, this is the Colorado Avalanche we're talking about, and they were able to come back. As Nathan MacKinnon, who definitely had a great series against us last April here, scores just before the 4-minute mark, so it was 4-3. So it was a 2-2 game going into the third period here, and then it was 4-3 for Calgary after 4 minutes here. Then Colorado actually was able to tie the game up at 4 here as Jonas Donskoi just past the 10.5-minute mark, another free agent that used to play with the San Jose Sharks. So it's a 4-4 game, and this game needed overtime here. In overtime, it was actually Calgary. We finally were able to beat one against Colorado, as if you call, in the playoff series last year. We had 2 games that went to overtime, and we did not beat Colorado in either game, which definitely swayed the series here. It was Sean Monahan that scored at the 2:09 mark of the 3-on-3 overtime here. And Calgary manages to beat the Colorado Avalanche 5-4 here and have won their 5th straight game at this point here. Calgary also had a slight edge in shots at 33-32, including 2-0 in overtime here. So Calgary was led by Matthew Tkachuk. He led the way with a goal and assist there. Mark Giordano, Elias Lindholm, and Dylan Dubé all each had 2 assists here. Colorado, well, they were led by Ryan Graves, Nathan MacKinnon, and Jonas Donskoi. They each had a goal and assist each there. It was Dave Riddick for the Calgary Flames. He made 28 saves. And it was Pavel Francouz. So maybe you can also say that we did not face Phil Grubauer, but I also didn't see Nazem Kadri wasn't in the lineup, and Kelly McCarr wasn't in the lineup too. So maybe Calgary had just a little break against the Colorado Avalanche, but they've been battling injuries all year and been one of the top teams in the Western Conference. So getting back to Pavel Francouz, he made 28 saves for Colorado here. So this quick road trip is off to a good start here as we beat one of our nemesis, the Colorado Avalanche here. So game 33 happened on the next night, on Tuesday, December the 10th here. The Calgary Flames were taking on the Arizona Coyotes, looking for their 6th straight win here. And Arizona has definitely been a stingy defensive team, and that's how they've been able to be one of the top teams, surprisingly, in the Pacific Division here. And Calgary actually started this game off quickly with 2 goals here first. It was Michael Frolik, his another goal, second goal on the second night here, just past the 2-minute mark. And then it was Johnny Gaudreau, who passed the 4-minute mark, and Calgary had an early 2-0 lead here in Arizona. Second, and that was the score after the first period there. It was 2-0 Calgary. Second period, Calgary added to their lead as Zach Rinaldo has contributed, scored just before the 5.5-minute mark. And then Sean Monahan scored his 10th goal of the season. That's the 14-minute mark, so Calgary had a 4-0 lead at one point here in the second period here. Arizona did get one very late, with literally 11 seconds to go in the second period. It was Jacob Chekrin who scores to make it 4-1. So Calgary did still enjoy a 4-1 lead after 2 there. Third period, Arizona came out flying with many shots, but it was Cam Talbot, who was making his second start in 3 games, was up to the task here. Calgary definitely did give up a lot of shots in this game. However, later in the third period here, it was Milan Lucic who scored for Calgary past the 14.5-minute mark to get his 3rd of the season, and his 3rd in 4 games actually. So it was 5-1 there, and then it was Phil Kessel who scored in the following 30 seconds to make it 5-2, and the Calgary Flames took this one 5-2 for their 6th straight win here. And as I mentioned, a lot of shots were dished out by Arizona here. Well, Arizona did actually outshoot the Calgary Flames 48-29 here. There wasn't as many quality shots, but Arizona did have 17-5 shot advantage in the third period alone here. Calgary was led by, Zach Rinaldo and Michael Frolik had a goal and assist each here. So the fourth line come alive here. And it was Cam Talbot who made 46 saves for Calgary. Well, it was Antti Renta who made 24 saves for Arizona here. So we took both games on that quick road trip here, which things are feeling a little good here. And you could also say it was the first bigger test for the Geoff Ward era, as you could say, yeah, we won a few games with Geoff Ward as head coach here. However, we were taking on some lower ranked teams, and if we were considered a playoff team, we should beat those teams. But very encouraging here. So now the Calgary Flames are going to go home for a 4-game homestand here, starting Game 34 on Thursday, December the 12th here, as the Calgary Flames were taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. And as I say, both teams recently played a little better under new head coaches. Geoff Ward here in Calgary and Sheldon Keefe here, the Toronto Maple Leafs here, and Calgary was seeking their 7th straight win here. And Toronto did open up the scoring in the first as John Tavares, one of the big name guys that they scored, just before the 8.5-minute mark, and it was 1-0 Toronto there. However, it was 8 minutes later in the first period, late in the first. It was Travis Hamonic who ties the game, and it was 1-1 for Calgary. So we had a 1-1 game after the first period here. Second period featured only one goal, and it was another one of their big young forwards, Mitch Marner, who scores just past the 14-minute mark. So Toronto took a 2-1 lead after 2 periods here. Calgary scored 3 goals in the first 3 minutes. First, it was Johnny Gaudreau who tied it up for Calgary literally 19 seconds in. And then it was Michael Frolik again who scored his 3rd goal, and just to save me alone, 4th of the season here. Made it 3-2 at the 2-minute mark. And then Johnny Gaudreau again scores just past the 2.5-minute mark to make it 4-2, and that's how things end as the Calgary Flames won their 7th straight by defeating the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-2 here. Toronto did, however, outshoot the Calgary Flames 34-24 in this one. Calgary was led the way while Johnny Gaudreau with 2 goals here. Travis Hamonic had a goal and assist, and Sean Monahan chipped in with 2 assists here. Toronto, well, they were led by their big money guys in Mitch Marner and John Tavares with a goal and assist each here. So the goaltending situation, you had Dave Reddick who made 32 saves for Calgary, while it was Frederick Anderson who made 20 saves for the Toronto Maple Leafs here. So now the next game, this was Game 35. This happened on Saturday, December 14th, as we were taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, and there's some little afternoon delight here, as it was a 2 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here, and Calgary was seeking their 8th straight win. Will they get their 8th straight win? Well, we'll find out here. Calgary did come up very strong in the first period, but they could not beat James Reimer, good Alberta boy goalie who's bounced around here, but found a nice home in Carolina early here. So we had no scoring after the first period here. However, the Flames did come out swinging early as they outshot the Carolina Hurricanes 12-4 in the first period here. However, in the second period, the Carolina Hurricanes came out stronger here, and it was Brock McGinn. It wasn't until the 12.5-minute mark. 12.5-minute mark that Brock McGinn scores for Carolina. So it was 1-0 here. And then Dougie Hamilton. Remember him? Was a nice trade that we got for Dougie Hamilton. Well, he comes back and scores against his former team a minute later. So it was 2-0 Carolina. And then Carolina ultimately took a 2-0 lead going into the third period here. Third period, Calgary came back a little stronger, and they had some power play time and then after Carolina was taking some penalties. However, the Calgary wasn't able to get their offense going, as eventually Carolina was able to get a couple more goals here by Warren Fogielli past the 15-minute mark and the empty netter with 3 seconds left here. So the Carolina Hurricanes ended the Calgary Flames winning streak with a 4-0 win here. So Calgary's winning streak ends at 7 games here. It also was the first loss in regulation since both the bad loss that we had in St. Louis, and Calgary had a players-only meeting then. And this actually was the first regulation loss since the whole situation with Bill Peters here. Still was a nice run to get back in the the playoff hunt here. So I'm going to say this game was a one-off here. Calgary did actually have a slight shot in edge in shots with 32-31 here. Carolina was led by Warren Fogielli with 2 goals, and it was Jordan Martinook and Teuvo Teravainen who chipped in with 2 assists each there. So that was the game against the Carolina Hurricanes. So now the Calgary Flames had a couple of days off before Game 36. That happened on Tuesday, December 17th. The Calgary Flames were taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that was a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome, still without Sidney Crosby here. However, the Pittsburgh Penguins have still been able to remain competitive while battling with injuries all year here. I'm going to say Calgary was looking like to get back in the win column. And speaking of injuries here, actually the Calgary Flames were getting a little healthier here as Sam Bennett returns to the lineup for this game. And Calgary, just like the last game, started off very strong here, and actually they did get rewarded, as it wasn't until the 60-minute mark that Johnny Gaudreau scores, and it was 1-0 Calgary. So the Calgary Flames had a 1-0 lead going into the first intermission here. It was Tristan Jarry who was standing tall for Pittsburgh. You could say Calgary could have easily had a couple more goals here. Second period, Pittsburgh came back better with a better team and capitalized on a few mistakes on a turnover here. Pittsburgh opened up the scoring with 2 quick goals here, as it was John Marino past the 12-minute mark, and it was Brandon Rust a minute and a half later. So just like that, Pittsburgh had a 2-1 lead here. So it's these depth guys that's coming in for Pittsburgh. Despite those goals, Cam Talbot stood tall for Calgary here, as Cam Talbot did start for Calgary this game. This was his 3rd appearance in this 6-game segment alone here. So that's one thing I talked about in previous episode, that Cam Talbot's going to have to start playing some games here, so we don't have an extra tired David Riddick if we were to go to the playoffs here. Third period, the Calgary Flames were looking for the equalizer, and Pittsburgh was also looking to go ahead here. Pittsburgh did pick up 2 more goals, but they both were late in the third period, both in the empty net here. As first it was Nick Malkin, not necessarily the way how he pictured getting his 400th goal, but he got his 400th NHL goal here at the 18-minute mark, and then literally 20 seconds later it was Chris Letang that scored the empty netter. So it was 4-1, but I almost can say it was a 2-1 game. Pittsburgh got 2 empty netters as Calgary was looking for the equalizer, and they just couldn't get it, as Tristan Jarry definitely played strong for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And as I say, Pittsburgh won this one 4-1 here, so Calgary did drop 2 in a row here, but they had some nice efforts, but some costly mistakes at opportune times here. Calgary did have a slight shot in the shots at 34-33. Pittsburgh was led the way by John Marino, Brandon Rust, Getty Malkin, and Chris Letang, all the goal scorers. Each had a goal and assist there. Cam Talbot, he still had a good start despite the loss. He made 29 saves for Calgary, while it was Tristan Jarry who made 33 saves for Pittsburgh here. So where do we stand after 36 games here? Well, Calgary is 18-14-4. Gives them 40 points. We're 4th in the Pacific Division, and we're in the 2nd wild card spot, the final playoff spot in the Western Conference here. However, as of this recording, we're only 4 points behind Arizona for the Pacific Division lead. So it's still very tight. And I said we were 4th in the Pacific Division, because you got Arizona, Edmonton, and Las Vegas are all in the top 3 of the Pacific Division here. However, despite being in the final wildcard spot here, we're only 3 points up on Nashville and Minnesota, and they have a couple games in hand as this recording here. So while we're trying to look ahead to the Pacific Division, we do need to keep looking behind for Dallas and Minnesota here. So that's where we stand after 36 games here. So I think in the next episode I'll talk more about standings or stats here. So let's look ahead here for the next 6 games, which will be the next episode, which will literally take up right up till the end of December 2019 and the 2010s here. So game 37, this will be on Thursday, December the 19th, as the Calgary Flames wrap up their 4-game homestand against the Montreal Canadiens. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop here. And then game 38 will be on Sunday, December the 22nd. The Calgary Flames will be on the road to take on the Dallas Stars, one of the teams that is seeking us. That'll be a 5 p.m. puck drop at the American Airlines Arena. And then on the next night, we're taking on the Minnesota Wild. Those 2 teams that we're looking over, that will be a 3 p.m. puck drop at the Xcel Energy Center. So those are going to be 2 massive games right there, after taking on some Eastern Conference teams here to potentially maybe separate ourselves. So then that will take us right up till Christmas here. And then game 40, Friday, December the 27th. This game was very anticipated, and believe it or not, this is the first time we'll be playing the Edmonton Oilers. and that will be at Rogers Place. That'll be 7 p.m. puck drop here. What kind of storylines are we going to get out of this Flames-Oilers game? Lucic, Neal, Talbot, Smith, or Tobias Reeder. Wow. What's all the players switching sides in this offseason here? That's just to name a few. And maybe the Oilers will call up Anthony Peluso from Bakersfield just to add even more former Flames and Oilers facing off each other. So yeah, finally we get to play the Edmonton Oilers in regular season play here, and we'll see what happens in that game. And then game 41, the Calgary Flames come home on Sunday, December 29th, as we take on the Vancouver Canucks. That'll be a 7:30 puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome. And then on New Year's Eve, this will be game 42. On Tuesday, December 31st, this will all be in episode 8 here. The Calgary Flames host the Chicago Blackhawks. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. So that's my Calgary Flames in 6 here. And I just say, things are actually looking a little better on the ice overall, all things considered, for the Calgary Flames here. And I would have thought all these events maybe turned the season around. I thought this team was showing maybe some signs of turning it around here before what has happened. But yeah, I still want to get back to that question. Are we back? Or is it time to seriously start making plans again to jump at the Red Mile in April, and hopefully April, May, and June? But I can dream, right? So anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, I mostly, as I say, do Calgary sports and these recaps, but I also, do some personal vlogs, share memories or moments at sporting events, and try to be funny there, and maybe throw in an odd political video recapping politics. If that sounds like everything you like, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as I post everything, or post anything as well. So if that sounds like you like, just follow along here on YouTube. And go Flames go, and let's hope we're continuing on to show that we are serious about getting into the playoffs and being maybe a Stanley Cup contender, maybe. I know last year this time I was asking that question, but I'm not ready to ask that question yet here. But as I'll say, hopefully you enjoy your holidays. I'll definitely going to enjoy the downtime when I get to get off work, and I do plan to make a few more videos more regularly during the 2 weeks that I'm off work. So hopefully there'll be some content there you'll enjoy, and hopefully you'll enjoy some more wins, and I'll see you in the next video.